Have you ever had one of those days where you set out to conquer the world? I mean, everything is planned from A to Z in your head. And by the time you make it back home, the world is upside down. You barely got to F, and then you had to skip to T, and Z is nowhere in sight. My name is Manny Moonraker, and this is UFO Report number 51, which is brought to you by UBR Truth Seekers, the Facebook group that has all the news stories thanks to the one and only Ronnie Dawson. Today, this episode is based on all the news articles that he's been gathering and posting within the UBR Truth Seekers Facebook group. And I also want to thank Billy and Eric because they gave me the idea about giving away some stuff within the group. Here's the deal. I purchased this, novelty stuff, beer koozies, and I guess you could use it for cans or bottles. And I had these UBR 4.24 stars for UFO Buster Radio, little stress stars, some of you sit around squeezing balls when you're stressed out. Well, this is shaped like a star, same thing, it's made out of foam. And I purchased these because I was going to give them out at the Aurora Alien Encounter year number 2. But that never happened. So this stuff is just sitting in my closet. I want to get rid of it because I want to get new stuff. So I figure I'm not going to sell it, why even bother? Right? I was just going to give this stuff out eventually anyway. So what I'm going to do for those people that are members of UBR Truth Seekers, if you send me your address, I will go ahead and send you some koozies for your beer, your baby bottle, or your soda can. Whatever it is you want to use it for. I don't judge. Just go for it. Well, anyway, like I said, Ronnie has been really active sharing news stories within UBR Truth Seekers. The first one caught my eye, so I had to do some research on it because it reminded me of our favorite rubber dicker, Stan Romanek. And we're not going to talk about him anymore because I know some of you get really heated about Stan Romanek. You think he's the godfather of truth. And there's others that can't stand him. They say he's full of crap. Either way, this story reminded me of Stan Romanek because in this story there is a photo of an ET taken that was seen by some individuals in the woods in Argentina. The article that was shared by Ronnie the Man Dawson is titled "Police Took Pictures of an Alien Being in Argentina." According to the story, in Corrientes, Argentina, the police were called by a few youngins on September the 13th, and they were reporting that they saw something weird. This happened at the Parque Miter, which is like a park. That's why it looked like the woods, but it's actually a nice little town. So apparently some cops from the what we might consider the 4th precinct were called over to this report because apparently this young group of people were reporting that there was a strange creature lurking about in the area. So apparently when the cops got there and they approached this figure, they quickly realized that what they saw was something that looked like an extraterrestrial, a very traditional looking extraterrestrial. Maybe the tall grays, Stan Romanek has a little short grays, with the really big heads. It was more like a taller gray. Looks more like proportionate like we are, except he was a bit skinny. Wasn't probably eating very much. But anyway, as any good cop anywhere would do, they didn't try to tase him. They didn't try to shoot him. They didn't try to ask him any questions. They pulled out their cell phones and started taking pictures. Is there something wrong with that story right there? Does that even sound right? Anyway, they took the pictures or what have you. And basically, the article goes on to say that the country seems to be a hotbed for encounters with alien beings. So they apparently, after they decided to, get done with their selfies and all that kind of stuff, they decided to approach the creature. It took off, ran into some water, and it went 4.2 far. They didn't find it again or what have you. So in the description, I also included the original article where this story came from because Ronnie found it on Disclosed TV. I have the article to the Argentinian newspaper. You can go on there. If you use like Google Chrome, you can translate what the article is saying into English. So you don't have to, read what Disclosed TV decided to say, but you can go on there. Now, in that article, it actually says that the picture itself was not given to Disclosed TV. The picture itself was actually posted on a radio station's Facebook page. So the radio station in Argentina is Radio LT7 AM, and I've got the link to their Facebook page. Good luck trying to find the goddamn picture because I could not find it. I mean, it's got to be quite a ways down anyway, because this happened 8 days ago. But anyway, the link is in there in case you feel froggy and you want to go check it out. There's a lot of writing in there, which most of you will not understand anyway, so good luck. Now, I can say this, that in the article from the Argentinian newspaper, a lot of the people were saying that maybe these cops were smoking Compound 49 or a derivative thereof. In other words, they were, smoking that blunt. Maybe they weren't swallowing the smoke or they didn't inhale. I don't know what it is, but the majority of the comments felt that these cops and these kids were full of shit and this is baloney. So who knows? I mean, you make the call. All these links are in the description for you. To me, it seems like another rubber dicking story. I mean, if you look at the picture, this alien really took a really nice pose. Looked a little bit like the Silver Surfer. But, it's like, dude, cover up. I mean, you don't even have clothes on. This thing just struck a pose like it was Captain Morgan. No, I don't believe it. Not for one bit. But then again, I'm in the US of A. Some of you are not in Argentina. And if it doesn't happen in your backyard, it really didn't happen. That's what some of you are going to say. By the way, that sound you just heard while I was doing my news story was the Moonraker phone. And it was letting me know that Andrew from the UK just followed the podcast on Spreaker.com. Andrew, thank you for joining the group. Don't forget to go to Facebook and join UBR Truth Seekers. If you want to look for the UFO Buster Radio Facebook page, or you want to look for the Manny Moonraker Facebook page, you want to look for Manny Moonraker on Instagram or UFO Buster Radio on Twitter, go ahead. Knock yourself out. Give me a like, give me a share, give me a follow. But if you want to interact with some of the people that you hear on this podcast week in and week out, the UBR Truth Seekers group is the place to be. I'm sorry. Like I said, I got all these stories right now just from Ronnie Dawson just going out there and doing some research and sharing what he's coming across. Hey, that's 4.2 far in itself. The next story is, it's by the greatest abductee the world has ever known. That's right, I said that. This is the one person that many people are hard-pressed to say that he's a rubber dicker. It is, and don't get me wrong, he did spend a time where people were calling him a rubber dicker for sure. But he's the example of someone who's an abductee who has stuck to his story and still continues today to share it because, honestly, it seems like he feels like if we sweep this under the rug, no one will ever be the wiser. And the article is about the one and only Travis Walton, and it's about his story. It's titled, I Was Taken, the world's most famous alien abductee, Travis Walton, slams skeptics claiming 16 lie detector tests prove his story is true. And some of you can sit out there and you'll say, you hear it all the time. You can fake lie detectors. You can, control your breathing. You can control your perspiration. You can rubber dick yourself while you're sitting there and be so calm that no one will ever know you are lying. And this is true. But I don't think that Travis and his buddies were that skilled to trick lie detector tests at the time. The incident took place in 1975, and it occurred at the Sitgreaves National Forest near Snowflake, Arizona. Travis Walton was missing for 5 days. His friends, who fled the scene of the abduction, were being investigated for murder. Travis shows up, and they went from being investigated for murder to maybe they were all high on something. Maybe it was a hallucinogen because no one wanted to believe their story. According to the article, Travis Walton is now 64 years old and says the incident is still very fresh in his mind. He was interviewed by The Sun online, and like I was just saying, he said that it was important for him to share the story publicly so that people know what's out there. What is really fascinating about this is that a lot of people came across this story later on when the movie Fire in the Sky came out. But it is really interesting to me how so many people who follow ufology and believe something's out there have never seen the film. In addition to that, the film was not entirely true to Travis's story. And if you see him at a convention, he'll tell you. There were many parts that were cut out because Hollywood felt it wasn't going to sell if those things were in there. So there was a documentary that Travis was part of that had to do with his abduction, and it was produced by Jennifer Stein. I really recommend you guys watch it or find a place where you can maybe rent it online or something. Because in there, Travis really gives the full story that you don't see in the film Fire in the Sky. There's a quote in here from Travis that says, "From the beginning, it was a battle against people trying to explain it away. The locals didn't want to believe it. The sheriff didn't want to believe it. You know, he thought it was a murder and then drug hallucinations." He said he had a whole battery of psychiatric tests and there was nothing wrong in that department. Drug tests proved there was nothing in my system. And he says after over 40 years, he stands by his story. There were exactly 5 separate lie detector tests taken by Travis himself, and while the witnesses and crew members had taken a total of 11 polygraphs. Is that enough to convince you that Travis Walton really was abducted back in 1975? I mean, probably not. You know, if you're sitting in the UK, Australia, France, Germany, and you hear that some American hick out in the freaking woods that was going out to cut some tree was abducted, you're thinking those Americans are fucked up in the head. What the hell are they drinking? But the truth is that it's been over 40 years and he's still sticking to his story. Now, if the only thing that you know is Fire in the Sky, then like I said, you want that documentary because he actually goes into why he thinks he was missing for 5 days. And if you listen, he is of the opinion that when he got zapped by that saucer that they came across in the woods, that they pretty much almost killed him. His buddies were pretty much scared shitless when they saw that happen, so they took off. He believes that the entities that zapped the shit out of him took him into the ship in order to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. That's what he believes. But you don't get that in that film because Hollywood chopped it all up. But you want to hear the man, you want to meet him, or at least see the documentary. Now, I'm not getting paid for this. I'm telling you because I saw it. I met the man, shook his hand, took a picture with him, had him autograph the copy of that documentary because I purchased it. So I'm telling you because I enjoyed it. It was very fascinating. And it's even more fascinating to be sitting there and hearing him tell the story. And I can tell you this, when you're sitting in front of the guy and he's telling you the story, it kind of reminds me of the first time I saw a video of Corey Goode talking about his stint out on Mars. When I saw the first video of Corey Goode, he wasn't looking at the audience. He was looking down most of the time. He looked nervous. He was choppy with his words. like people had to lead him into answering things. The people that were actually, coordinating the event. When you see Travis Walton up there, he is not looking people in the eye. He doesn't seem like he's hiding anything. Instead, he seems really genuine. And he definitely wants people to explore this. And I can imagine that someone that's in his mid-60s, he's probably thinking that the end is soon, right? I mean, we all have those thoughts, especially when you get up at certain age groups, you're thinking, tomorrow might be my last day. So you should heed what he's saying, because just like we see a lot of people today with stories similar to this, and we think they're crackpots, well, here he is. And I guarantee you that a lot more people believe his story than most abduction stories out there. And that's because he's out there getting the message out. This was UFO Report number 51. Thank you for listening. We do have an interview on Sunday. I'm going to post on Saturday in UBR Truth Seekers who our guest is going to be. But I'm hoping they're going to talk about the Nazi alien Antarctica conspiracies out there. And apparently she has a lot more knowledge on conspiracies that she might even share eventually. But she is an author. And I'll post that information on the Facebook group for you guys. Ciao.